I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and I'm here today with Cody Kelly. He's the owner and founder of Kelly Case Management Services, and we're here to kind of discuss what you will be offering to the community here and kind of your background and what you hope to kind of give BYU-Idaho as a whole. But before we kind of get into that, can you give our audience a little more of an insider of who you are and kind of, I guess, what sparked your interest in this and what led you to create the Kelly Case Management Services?
Yes, good morning, Abrielle. So my name is Cody Kelly. I have worked in the mental health field for about 10 years. I have worked in kind of a variety of settings, and that includes outpatient settings, such as supervisor at a residential facility, team lead at residential facility, where it helped children that struggled with behavioral needs and would often be placed by families there after they weren't sure kind of what to do. There was some heavy behaviors at home or in school. And then I also have done case management specifically in two very acute settings. One was in Seattle. I had a caseload of about 80 people. And I also worked as a case manager over at Fairfax Behavioral Hospital. And what sparked my interest is I moved to Rexburg about a year ago, so I'm still rather new to the area. But I have noticed that as I've searched for care for myself and friends and clients that I've worked with in a case management role, that it's not as robust of a system as it was in a bigger city, which makes sense. But it also means that it has been harder to access services. And so I've kind of created this company to help individuals and families access the services that they need without as much of a hard time to do so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rexburg is kind of smaller than some other towns. To go further to kind of help our audience understand better, can you, I guess, kind of explain the difference between like case management and counseling? I know a lot of students might be more familiar. We have like a student health center on campus, but kind of to give a better idea of like how those are different and what they kind of, I guess, offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So case management for me and my company is really kind of the step ladder to counseling services. So instead of a student or a family having to go out and try to find a counselor for themselves, whether that's going into a bunch of random agencies and asking to be put on a wait list, or if they've got openings, or if that's simply just Googling to try and find services and then getting kind of overwhelmed with what insurance is needed and what deductible means and what a copay is and all of that stuff. And so for my company, in case management, how I help them is I'm just basically kind of a guide with them through that process so that they can get in very quickly, that they have somebody that's able to provide a list of qualified professionals in the area that meets their needs with whatever they're looking for to improve in their life.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's kind of, I'm going to put it into my own words, but kind of a consultation kind of thing where because you have more, I guess, knowledge and experience what there's to offer. So you kind of, like you said, guide someone who might not be sure where to turn or what can be offered or even help speed up the process. Because like you said, you kind of know more, right?
Yeah, it is exactly that. That's how it's registered. It's a consultation company, and it's nice because somebody might say, "Well, why do I want to, pay this person to help me find somebody?" And it's really about being able to focus on other aspects of their lives. Students have a lot on their plate, specifically, And, families do too, right? Like you've got individuals that have classes or jobs or church responsibilities, families to take care of. So just a lot of things that take time, and there's just not a lot of time to be able to focus sometimes on finding somebody. And so I try to make the prices as low as possible because I don't want that to be a barrier to care. And I just want to be able to kind of be that support for people as they go through the process and make it where they're not looking for weeks or months to find somebody, that they just are able to meet with me, let me know what they need, and hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks they have an appointment rather than trying to, go in and figure out how to get an appointment.
Yeah, I love that because it can kind of be, I would say, intimidating to find.
Very.
Because I've had like therapy experiences too, and you never know what works well for you. So it's kind of nice to know, based off having a consultation with someone like you, to kind of find something that fits.
I've built established relationships with a lot of the counseling agencies in the area. And so when I'm recommending these people, I physically have met with them. I've kind of gotten a little bit about who they are. And I haven't met with every counselor. Sometimes I've met with the clinical directors of the places, but do have a pretty good idea of who I'm sending people to, and they're not just random.
Yeah, I love that you've intentionally built relationships and connections to a lot of the agencies here, and even individually people within those places. I think something that I want to touch on at this moment is just kind of if you could explain your perspective on, I guess, the importance of mental health and caring for it, just because I feel like that can be, for some people, that can be tough to talk about and tough to like deal with. So I guess, what is your perspective and how important that is to recognize mental health and also receive care for it?
Yeah. So my perspective on mental health is very, very simple, to be perfectly honest. It's, if you have a scratch or, you have a wound and you go and you put a Band-Aid on it, or you have a little bit of a higher wound, you might go to a doctor. And that's self-explanatory, right? Like you want to be able to make sure, you clean it, you don't get it infected, you got it covered up. And I think any young mother that's listening will know their kids, fall down, scrape their knee. It's like, no, come here so I can clean it. Don't just keep rolling around in the dirt. And so mental health is similar in the fact that, as you work towards being able to figure out, okay, I've maybe a little sad in the morning after I had a baby. What is this going on? I've got anxiety, or I'm just stressed, if you don't even know it's called anxiety, before some big tests and some big finals. Or, I'm sending my kid off to school and they just seem a little off and I can't figure out why. It's just having an outside person being able to be there and support and saying, hey, I noticed this, just like a doctor would say, hey, I noticed that, this is what showed up on an x-ray, or this is what showed up from me talking to them. And so mental health care is just simply somebody that's there to be able to support you with the injuries that you can't see. Yes,
I love that definition and that explanation, just how it's, like physical wounds, mental wounds are very much the same and need to be cared for. When it comes to your case management services specifically, can you tell us kind of more of what specifically you offer and kind of like the process? Say like a BYU-Idaho student is, like you said, feeling these emotions and feeling a little down. What would be the process if they worked with you?
Yep. So they would, first off, they would do a quick consultation with me, about 15 minutes, because I want them to be comfortable with who they're working with before they're, sending out money, because money can be pretty tight, especially as a college student. So they'll meet with me and I'll kind of explain a little bit about what I do, like I have in this interview. And then they'll fill out some paperwork, very similar paperwork to what they would fill out at an agency, kind of what they're looking for, but it's a little bit more in depth, right? It's, do I want to work with a male or a female provider? Do I want someone that's older, younger? Do I want an LDS therapist, or am I looking for somebody else that might have different faith perspectives? Because not every student here is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so they'll kind of fill out that information and some more information about what they're feeling, and I'll kind of go into my database and say, okay, these are kind of the matching criteria for what they are asking for. And then we would get back together and we would call their insurance, or I would ask them, do they want to self-pay? And then I would match them with people in the area that fit within their budget, and then connect them directly onto that person's calendar rather than just a random person for an assessment to go through that whole process.
That's very nice. I like how, I guess, simple and direct it is, and I think it's exactly like you said. It's you guide through the whole process. What do you think is something, maybe for someone who might be hesitant, what do you think could help, I guess, change their mind about considering case management services and going through that process?
Yeah, of course. So before I even launched it as a company, I wanted to make sure that I could do things in the way that I was saying that I was able to do them. And so I was able to offer these services for free for a few people. And so there's some testimonials on my website at kellycmservices.org where you can read from 3 different individuals who I was able to help in the community already access services. And then in terms of the price perspective, one thing that I like I said, really believe is not making it inaccessible. And so the connecting to a therapist is $50, and to connect with a couples therapist, if you're looking for that, is $75. But I also was like, okay, well, what else can I throw in? Because $75 can also be kind of a lot. And so I've worked with a photographer in the area, and so I also create a program where I give them a voucher for photography services, whether that's get an engagement photo, wedding photos, family photos. So it's kind of nice to be able to have a little bit of a discount there. And then anything that is over $100 or more, I've made it where there's a payment plan, and it can be split up as long as 4 months through the process. And so I'm really trying to have it be affordable, and where price doesn't have to be an issue. It's really just about getting somebody connected into services.
I like that. I like the consideration, just because, like you said, you want it to make it affordable, and you don't want it to be the burden, especially if they're already burdened by other things, or it's something that I feel like will definitely help the process.
And a BYU-I student, so this is an exclusive for anybody that's a BYU-I student, will always have a 20% discount for any services that they would like, because I was also a college student. I'm a graduate student as a mental health counselor candidate. And so 20% off is going to be a guarantee for any BYU-I student for forever.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. One thing that you gave me was a couple flyers, and they're for different, I guess, like groups of people. I guess what can you tell us about something that you put on the flyer that we maybe haven't quite gotten into, and something important to note?
Yeah, I think I've touched on the parts for 2 of them, right? If you're getting married, there's the connection with the local photographer, as well as a 20% discount on services. For that, it says for the month of July, but it is going to extend. I've done some thinking recently, and I think that having just a standard 20% BYU-I discount is something that I'm going to guarantee. And then for members of the community that might not be BYU-I students that might be listening to this interview, for the month of July, it's a 15% discount, saying welcome into services. And, I would love to have the opportunity to assist you as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think one thing you said you also mentioned is this could be, for individual students, for families. You mentioned couples. I think that's quite important because, like you said, it can be, I think sometimes it can be hard to adjust to like a marriage and two different people. So I like that you also mentioned like this could be something that could help connect a couple to I'm losing my words, but it can be a process for them to receive help, whether they're individuals, whether they're a family, whether they're a couple. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Cody, at this time?
Yes. So not everyone needs support, and that's completely understandable. But I know that a lot of people want to support people that may need support. So there's also a part of my website that's a donations page, and it's to support people in the community that might be looking for services, but might kind of be in that in between, right? They insurance copay is a little bit too high, and so they need some support to pay for that to be in services. Or even they might need somebody to support them in accessing my services. And so the donation page is for anyone that wants to support people that are in need of care. And every month, your donation is entered into a raffle to win a self-care basket. Some months it might be face masks and lotions. Other months it might be a date package if it's maybe a couple. And for the first month, when I get 25 donations in a month, that first self-care package will include a massage or a couples massage with a local agency here in Rexburg.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so fun, what you're doing to make it a good experience, and to also make it a process of ease. I think, like you said, this is a bit of a smaller town, so it's very nice to have a case management and additional services that can help people as they seek help in their mental health for themselves, and like you said, possibly for others in the community that they know. You have something to say? Yeah,
I was just going to add one thing. There's other agencies in town that have case management services, and so somebody might say, well, why do I want to go somewhere for case management services when there's another agency that I might already participate in? And I think simply ask yourself, am I getting what I'm expecting, right? Do I have a need? And in that appointment that I'm meeting with that person, do I feel like they're connecting me with those resources that I need? And if the answer is no, then that's not to say that the people that you're with are hard at all. It's just an additional support. You don't have to leave the case management that you're with. It's just simply a resource, really a referral resource is the best way to put it, of connecting somebody in with elements that will help them a little bit more. So it's not me asking you to, end any relationships, but it's just giving some extra support to help edify those relationships even more.
I'm Abrielle Millett for BYU-Idaho Radio, and I've been here today with Cody Kelly. He's the owner and founder of Kelly Case Management Services, and he's been telling me a little bit more about the case management company he has and kind of what it can offer to the community as a whole and also to BYU-I students. So thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed our conversation.
Likewise, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today and tell you a little bit more.